Welcome, IJ. Welcome, everybody. It's such a pleasure to see you here. I'm so blessed that we have dedicated the time to connect. And it's my honor to introduce you, IJ, to the viewers, to the world. And the way I like to introduce is really kind of say the way I view you, how I think about you, and who you are.
Oh,
Often we think about what we do, and to me, who you are. And from the first time we've contacted, you have been really open and open in a way of acceptance of people, open in a way of gathering people together, open a way of ideas, of innovation, open to connecting something that's established to innovations, and open in ideas of expanded mind and expanded consciousness. And I just think of you as open, warm. You're so welcoming, and every single thing that I've seen you do it with such a heart, and you always have this care that this needs to happen for the good of whatever, either it's an industry or people, and it's always two people, right? And you have this picture to where I must do this to take care of the world, and I appreciate it and I love it so much. And it takes extra special strength to be able to find ability and energy to be able to do that. So first thing I want to talk to you about before we talk about all the work and stuff is, let's talk about your trip to Playa de Carmen, because you went for 4 weeks or something, right? You were there for a while, and it was a month ago, no less, like 2 weeks ago. And so tell us more about that. Tell us all the journey of deciding to go there during the pandemic, and your experience there, and what is happening in Tulum. Is it
yeah,
is it a
no,
good place to go to?
yeah. Well, thank you, Irina, for having me. Spasibo. Thank you so much, Irina. Mwah, to you and your family. No, I just want to say, getting off, it's a pleasure to be here, pleasure to be a part of this. And every time I have the interactions with you, it's always a pleasure being in Austin, Las Vegas, or just via phone or messenger. So thank you. Yeah, so we did have plans. So one of my primary goals is we look for investment opportunities for ourselves, our group. So we run a small quote unquote private fund. And then we also do advising. And then when our advising comes in, we don't just process people's monies, handle it, transfer it, and stuff like that, but we also give our opinions about subject matters. And one of the subject matters that we thought that we want to investigate is more local investment here in North America, Central America, and South America. You know this, Arena, so I've spent a lot of time in Asia over the last year and a half, 2 years. And then previous before that, I was in Russia, and I was in Eastern Europe and then Western Europe for the previous 3 or 5 years. And we thought there's great opportunities there. And then when COVID happened, really it canceled our plans for Southeast Asia, even though we still have interests in there. We have great relationships. We really started focusing back on Central and South America. And one of the bonuses was the agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico about the kind of quote unquote new trade agreement, the one that replaces NAFTA. So that being said, we feel that there's tremendous growth available in Mexico, and then tremendous growth in the development of certain areas in Mexico. And we do share a love of Playa del Carmen and Tulum. It is amazing. You and Justin, you and everyone, you have so many friends, and it's so amazing that we run into people that we knew, orbitally, and it's just fantastic. So, when they do say, your vibe attracts your tribe, well, their vibe attracted me, and then obviously, our relationships. So yeah, so we were there to first and foremost, see what opportunities are there, if there are opportunities, primarily in fintech, DeFi, decentralized finance. I know that's the super buzzword, but we were already in that space, just like you were in that space years ago. And then ultimately hard assets. So we were looking at, buying hotels, and really getting the vibe, investment properties, the individuals, and at the quote unquote, corporate level. And yeah, it's super vibrant. Mexico is one of the, I believe there's only 24, 25 countries in the world right now that are completely open. The borders, they do have protocols for COVID, but we went out there and we wanted to talk to business owners, and we wanted to see what the energy level was and the appetite for working with other organizations like ours, like organizations, structures like yours, and then also see what kind of opportunities. And there's a myriad. Really, we think that Mexico, because of the new trade agreement, you were seeing a lot of major organizations want to bring some of their diversified workforce back away from Asia, protect their supply lines, and bring them into manufacturing into Central and South America. And we believe that Mexico is going to be one of those places. And then ultimately, the environment itself, so the people that attracted to Tulum, right? We'll say that, right? To Tuluminatis, or the Playancitas, as they call them, and the people that live in Playa del Carmen, this nomadic, highly educated, highly functioning workforce that they're attracting here in North America. It's amazing. So we were able to interact. We were able to interact with some of your associates as well, and it was phenomenal. We had to cut our trip short. We had some unexpected things happen. One of our team members, Silent Joe, he had a family member pass away super unexpectedly. So we closed the trip. But if it wasn't for that, and some other factors, we'd still be there. And we just want to figure out if there's opportunities, and there is really lots of opportunities out there.
Well, I think we may be a great idea. So you are a conference organizer too. You really appreciate gathering people together, giving them platform to speak. I appreciate that when you were here in Austin, you gave me platform to speak, but most importantly, you let my kid come in, and her school was, she had a snow day or whatever, she had such a wonderful time because you let her entrepreneurship thrive, right? She asked if she can have a cookie stand, and you right away approved of it, and you guys were so welcoming, and it was so pleasant, and she still has a great memories. And by the way, remember that the Asian trip, you were the first and only to say, you know what, just bring your whole family. And my child prepared cause-specific offering. We've talked about how she wants to create this nonprofit thing when we go to Asia to make sure that children get education all over the world and all that. And it is thanks to you, because you actually put that into a reality and said, yeah, of course, so this is an opportunity that will be possible. And then for my 7-year-old, it became a reality. And for me as a parent, it opened up opportunity to have this educational preparation with her. And, she understands now about DeFi, right? She knows what tokens are. She knows what's crypto thing. And so I thank you for that. And I appreciate that you do it. And so maybe something in Tulum?
So this is not a secret. We have, we were there. It's funny, Arena, this is the same way with you. When you share something on social media, that is just a little glimpse of what you're doing. So say when you travel to to Milan or Madrid, or if you just go to Denver, if you share just 1 or 2 photos of you at a meeting, that does not really even represent how much time, effort, and energy you're putting into taking other meetings, developing projects, getting interest, because obviously when they feel that they're dealing with a successful woman like yourself, a successful entrepreneur like yourself, there's a lot of quote unquote pulling of your energy. But yeah, so we found that we were, me and Silent Joe, we were doing 16, 17, 19-hour days there. And when this is not just drinking and partying, Joe doesn't drink at all. I sparingly have an alcoholic beverage. We're there to really uncover things. And one of the things that we're really happy to say is that we're developing 3 different organized events in that area. One of the events that we're developing with over time is we're partnering with other organizations who have relationships, is that they're doing a half virtual, half Burning Man in Tulum. So they're actually bringing some of the installations, the giant octopus that was actually, these are installations that take months, sometimes years to develop, that they have no place to show them because Burning Man is, so they're actually moving some of those installations down to Tulum. It's amazing. And we're going to be a part of some of those organizations. But for us, Arena, we're looking at Tulum really as a jumping off point to really bringing in Central and South America into this blockchain space, and also talk about financial tech, because I think there's a disparage. I think a lot of the time and energy is, which is well deserved, that comes out of Silicon Valley, that comes out of New York, that comes out of London, that obviously comes out of Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore. But I think that the above average rate of returns with small risk is developing the Latin American market.
So what I hear is that you're looking at organizing a financial technology gathering in Tulum.
Yes. So that's exactly it. We're people are so giving and wonderful. We've had such a warm reception from not just from the people that we interacted there, but just from people openly talking about it. And we are looking to do something not just specifically for blockchain, even though we do have projects there specifically for blockchain, but really about financial technologies. And, some of the core things that you mentioned is really bringing on younger people. So we're talking in the grade school level, how they can interact with technology to achieve certain things, such as access to education and then access to financial education. So, just like your daughter having an entrepreneurship, wouldn't it be kind of cool, talking about NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens. We could develop a token just for your daughter, right? Where she can share her own tokens.
Yeah, she has a BAL token. It's called
a BAL. Okay, all right.
For specific offering, and when she's out about, she'll talk about it. But it's basically, yeah, and I mean, you can design whatever you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's crazy. We're still very, very active. We still consult in the social media space. We've been super blessed with there. And we want to share how other people have found success, in North America, in Asia, with social media, referring back to Central and Latin America. And what's really nice about it, it doesn't take too hard to attract great talent and great speakers, because the environment itself, I mean, you could speak on the loveliness of Tulum, right?
Well, and also, I really appreciate that, of course. One, beautiful water always. There's just two, I mean, the energy, and three, the sand. But most importantly, I think that a lot of people in our country, in America, forget about the challenges of getting a visa to travel to America. It is very hard, and it is definitely something that's available for privileged. And I believe that a place like Tulum is close enough for Americans to come, but it's also easy to get Mexican visa to come and be a tourist. It's the entry of level there, I think, is so much lower as far as the challenges of acquiring the opportunity to even enter the country, that I think it kind of makes that spread much more to where it's not only privileged that are now working and established people that are working on this, but allows those young entrepreneurs, it allows somebody who is coming in and maybe first year of college, or maybe even high school, maybe parents traveling with their children. And, I think that, and we must think about younger generation. They are the ones who are going to be building the infrastructure of the future, because we're building infrastructure of now and near future. They are the ones that are going to expand on it. And so I really believe that we must integrate them. And I really appreciate that you're talking about grade level, kind of a grade level for children. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, one of the major differences in you were part of Austin. You're a great energy. Your daughter was amazing. She was a little star, right? So there, it was great. She definitely is burning brightly there, and she made sales. It was successful for her. She made
$350, okay, and that was the month when Bitcoin just went I mean, it crushed its face, right? It was a
Right.
scary, scary time. And she sold $350.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
So one of the things that we try to do at our events is that the major difference between our events and our gatherings, we have them in San Francisco, Toronto, Las Vegas, Austin, Singapore, like Hong Kong, is that we do not use this as a vehicle for profit, right? So when we bring on sponsors, every sponsor dollar goes back into the conference. We try to keep the price point as low as possible because we already have, and this is just the truth, our primary sources of income are from other interests. This is really just a place where we can actually open up, talk, and not only reconnect with our great friends, but also build strong and new relations. So, and I'm not poo-pooing any other conferences, but like the price point to attend some of these conferences are very, very expensive. And we just try to drive that price lower as possible just for access so relationships can blossom. And what's really nice about what we're thinking about and what we're executing on, we've already taken action for the Tulum. It's just we're working on the dates to make it more accessible to everybody, is that there's so many digital nomads. There's so many people that work from laptop, work from anywhere that are already in the region that could benefit from understanding more about cryptocurrency and blockchain, that could benefit by knowing and meeting other people such as yourself, entrepreneurs with a vast experience. So we've met so many people that are into telemed, right? And these people are doing their job, and we'll just say they're making like $35,000 a year, but it's more than enough to
Tulum is very, I mean, your price of living is now
not,
not on the beach, but
yeah,
in Mexico, it's a great amount of money.
absolutely. But what they don't have, what you would have in a quote unquote normal society, is that they don't have those people so much to lean on about, hey, how can I grow my wealth? How can I look at other investment opportunities? And that's what we're not just trying to attract other amazingly talented people in the blockchain space, but we're able to attract professionals that already have expertise and familiarity with technology. So this is what we're trying to do in a very, very cost effective, if not, we're trying to do it for almost free for everybody to attend.
And it's interesting. It's kind of foundation of a sacred economics, right? A gifting society. Some things we do that or just benefit others, and it builds closer connection. And through that co-creation, there are other things that come as the result of that. I think that as being in crypto space for good amount of years, I've seen growth cycles come and go. And it's interesting that I think that every single time we have a growth cycle, the most important thing for us to ensure the success and future development is pulling the traditional expertise into the industry to come and do work. I think that, and I really appreciate that you're doing it, because we need the traditional expertise of people that are, whatever they're doing, come in and apply that in the crypto space, in the blockchain space, because it grows, right? And as a network and the product and applications are growing, we need to make sure that the people to service it, to benefit from it, are there. And so to me, and it's to you viewers too, when you think about crypto, remember in mind too that opportunities don't only come from your speculation of pricing, but it also comes in your ability to find work. And right now, we are starting to see the points indicating to us that we are approaching growth cycle. And so your expertise is needed. Just start thinking, start looking, maybe put in when you're putting an application, make yourself available for for this industry as well. And remember, you do not need to be an expert of this. We have plenty of experts that understand blockchain technology, people that understand what crypto is, understand everything that needs to be understood. We need people that can come in and shine whatever their expertise from the outside world into the crypto space. So now that we know that you are really building fundamentals and doing a lot to build a financial technology by empowering people, by empowering younger people to come in and learn, and empower them to even understand what opportunities are there for speculation as well, which is important. Now I want to talk to you about space, because I know that you have something that you're building for space industry.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And Arena, when we first established our relationship, professional relationship and talking, I started to learn about your interest in space and your involvement. But very, very rarely do I talk about my interest and my involvement in space. This is dating back to almost X amount of years ago that we kind of came up with these really at the time, moonshot ideas. Um, and we slowly developed some of these hard assets and projects here in Las Vegas. I've said it before, companies like Bigelow Aerospace, they just slowed down, but they actually had an installation in the ISS, International Space Station, where they actually blow up. It's like accordions for more living hab space, and it's still there now. Here in Nevada, in the area, New Mexico, the Southwest, Arizona, Utah, and obviously California, we have a industry dedicated to space. Not too many people know about that. Obviously, Groom Lake and Area 51, everyone knows about that. But yeah, there's so much resources out here. And when I moved out here 20 years ago, we started getting involved in it. And now, we feel it's the right timing. And we're going to actually have a conference series and a virtual conference series. And what we're looking to do is leverage our relationships that we have with the European Space Agency. So some of our business partners are ex-employees in the European space industry. Obviously, we have relationships with people that work in the aerospace industry and the space industry here in America. And we are proposing that we do a global conference where you would actually spend part of your time at location and then part of the time in virtual. So we're looking to deployment in 2021, and we're looking to do about 8 different conferences. And the locations are, we can tell you right now, it's looking like Austin, Seattle, Singapore, Tokyo, in Stockholm, and lastly in London. So it's going to be a little bit of virtual, a little bit of live, and some pre-recorded. But what we're trying to do is, it's the same messaging. Is one of the conference series is really dedicated to the education and available opportunities there are for people looking for jobs. So we look to be as a connector for for placement, and a place where people can go and reliably get quality candidates. And then secondly, is another place where people can just exchange ideas and share their visions, share, quote unquote, their ways of addressing the needs of the space industry, be it through a myriad of things, be it through launch, be it through satellite, be it through mining, be it through just, coffee mug development in space, right? There's a lot more things that you have to design because there's no gravity. So that's what we're looking to do. We've got a lot of traction. We're kind of embarrassed about it. Obviously, COVID has slowed it down, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a conference series in different locations, really only about 10, 15% live, and the rest pre-recorded and digitally, being broadcast.
Yeah. It's interesting when I think about space industry, and I think about a gap. And that gap, I think, manifests itself through kind of an understanding of what space industry means. And when people think about space, they think about Elon Musk, they think about Jeff Bezos, they think about NASA, right? So it's either government or billionaires. And they always think that it's this most expensive thing, and it's just kind of a not for the worldly ones. However, 10 years ago, space became available for free enterprise. And so we have this very dynamic network of startups that are going from angel to seed round, from seed round to A round, from A round to B round to C round. And it's becoming more and more dynamic. And the reason I'm saying that, and I really want to communicate appreciation that you guys are doing this, is that all these companies, now that we're starting to have abundance of it, there's not enough support for them to come through and for space to truly become a space as an asset class. Because for something to be considered as an asset class, you really kind of need to have all the way down, up, and up to down way to do fundraising and, you know, doing liquidity and everything. And right now there's just handfuls. So for example, early stage VCs, there's 4 of them in America that are dedicated to you know, to investing in space. Shout out to Space Fund. Full disclosure, I'm an advisor and grateful for the opportunity that, you know, I was blessed with to be part of this. But I think that what's important too is that when we think about what you're doing, it really is opening up the bottleneck and showing to people, okay, we need this infrastructure. We need for companies to not just go and do space conferences, but kind of what we've been doing, you know, in the regular conferencing, to where it is dedicated to fundraising, and it is, most importantly, goes from the idea up, right? Because it's very hard if I have an idea to build something in space.
Right.
Like, where do I go? You know, and what if I'm not an engineer now? And I'm not, like, if I'm not an engineer and I'm not going to be an astronaut, but I have an idea and I would really like secretly to build something for space industry and like do something exciting like this, I would know where to start. And so I thank you that you guys are doing that. And so as you guys are planning this, is there a way people can connect you or contact you? Is it a little bit too early for kind of getting that traction?
Yeah. So to be quite honestly, that is exactly it. So we are pretty close to the chest when it comes to our development of our products and services until they are what we would say someone, you know, if we're talking about software, when they're at 1.0 or the beta, we're at the alpha stage. But the one thing I want to talk about, you know, talking about the space industry is, so something very, very dynamic happened that really went on the radar. That, you know, the California is on fire. We have COVID, unemployment. There's a lot of things. There's hurricanes coming, right? I mean, there's a lot of things going on. But I want to. What's that?
There's
Two.
them coming at Texas and they're like heating in the same spot.
Ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Thanks, 2020. But one thing that is really about the changing of the old guard. If you would have said to us 10 years ago in 2010 that ExxonMobil, one of the most powerful organizations in the entire world, would be taken out of the stock market averages and being replaced by nascent companies at that time, it would be unbelievable. Some of these companies back then, 10 years ago, they were making literally $10 billion a month profit. And now they are barely holding on. And that goes to show you, years, the United States has become the #1 producer of hydrocarbons, that people like Elon Musk and the development of electricity, electrification through solar energy, and also the rise of natural gas, that literally the energy environment has completely flipped in 10 years. And then if you look at that, 10 years ago, roughly Bitcoin celebrating its 11th birthday, and then soon to be 12. In that same time, we've seen the rise of cryptocurrency. No one would have thought that, you know, a bunch of software nerds could have developed a $350 billion asset class. And that doesn't include, that's the net value of the tokens and coins that we're talking about. Say 350 billion really started for the progenitor of Bitcoin. But I can say this with the utmost certainty. In the next 10 years, the development of the space industry, because of machine learning, because of AI, because of fundraising organizations and the sophistication of funds, right? So, and you are really one of the pioneers in this area because you've transitioned and you're still in the crypto industry, but you know how to raise funds, you know how to get people involved. But space, in the next 10 years, we will see literally paupers go to billionaires, and we will see billionaires into trillionaires, and they will take everybody along for the ride. You know, the Japanese, they have this thing called the 300-year plan. Any project and service that they want to do, they want to dominate, is like they plan for 300 years. And it's immense to think about that. But if you talk about space now, right? You know, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When's the best time? When's the second best time? Today. If you could just get involved and have an interest in space, the returns could be astronomical. And we're not talking, I mean, we're talking about resources that are unlimited. And there is 7.6 billion people in the world. There's enough room that's infinite space, infinite room, infinite resources that each and every one of us could possibly, in the near futures, within 1 to 2 generations, could literally have all their needs and wants and desires fulfilled because there is no lack. And it's just what we have to do now is understand how we want to participate on an individual level, and then obviously on a quote unquote organized level, be it through the government, be it through agencies, be it through investments. And we are saying this, and I know a lot of people are saying that out there, you know, it's like, you know, poo-poo and this and this and that. What space represents is the true next evolution of not just finance, of not just resource development. That means, you know, mining and stuff like that, but really human development. And hand in hand, we'll go with that. We'll go the just rewards for the people that put the time and energy to develop them now. And I think that's the reason why I mean, like, it's pretty easy to see that guys like Elon Musk, who I'm going to talk about Elon Musk really quick. He scored roughly $30 million out of PayPal. Right now, there's been a lot of conjecture of how he distributed the, you know, 700 million, and he had to borrow money from his mom for rent because, you know, he put it in Forex.
Right.
The bottom line is this:
it's the strength of character. Then,
is that he's on a projection, right, to be the first trillionaire. Now, that means every team member will be, every one of his key team members will be in the hundreds of billionaires, right? That means ancillary people in just this one organization, they will be deca-billionaires. That means we're 10, 20, 30 billion dollars. And every other employee will be roughly millionaires. And that's just one gentleman. So if one gentleman can possibly make trillions of dollars, literally others as well, other organizations can do that as well.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the similar thing that we talked about, that I mentioned, that crypto space needs expertise, traditional expertise, it's even more needed in the space industry. And especially because it's been so segregated away from people's opportunities to work in, right? It was a closed government enterprise. And if you thought about space, I'm not an engineer, so what am I going to do in space? And so now you do not need to be an engineer. If you can do, I mean, if you're a great personal assistant, there, your need is there.
Absolutely.
If you're marketing, you need it. If you're a journalist and you want to learn about covering that, you need it. If you're a venture capitalist, you're needed. I mean, eventually we're going to need teachers. We're going to need artists. And this is a near future. So I have 2 last questions prepared for you.
Of course, please.
Okay, so we talked about the 10 years from now, but now I want you to think about everything that's happening right now, everything that you see developing and growing right now, and imagine yourself moving forward 25 years from now. So quarter century passes and bam, there you are, you are looking around. What do you see? What is our reality that you see in 25 years?
So the 2 major things, I mean, so it's going to be, 1 is technology and 2 is climate. So we are seeing, and there is no denying it. Now, I don't care what scientist is, for every scientist that poo-poos climate change or global warming, there's 97 that disagree with him, saying that that's happening, or she's saying that's happening. So I think the way we understand of our human race interacting with the environment will have to change, and then we'll have to adapt to it. We will start seeing an acceleration of sea levels, and it's going to be cost prohibitive to save some of these places. Venice, New Orleans, London, New York, Bangladesh. I mean, like the list goes on and on. 75% of the world's population lives within 10 miles of a major water, right? Major waterway. So be it an ocean, lake, or sea. So you're going to see the migration of people. Right? You're going to see the migration of people and really the environment. Like you can't send your kids out without sunblock and hats. I mean, these are things. So there's great opportunities there. Obviously, we're going to see we're going to see probably this is not a doomsday play. This is just for us. You're going to see that the development of strong strains of crops. We would see that we're going to the value of arable land will increase exponentially. So that's really in the environmental and the way humans interact with the environment. And then secondly is the advancement of technology. And the two major advancements will be software development and material sciences. So the material sciences, I want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about. Like concrete uses up and exposes a lot of CO2, right? That has ramifications for greenhouse gases. Well, what spaceships are made out of, some of them are 3D printing HABs now in spaceships, right? And so we're going to see the development of material sciences, such as improved body armor, like improved vehicles, right? So the Cybertruck, it's stamped metal that, it's very durable. So you're going to start seeing development of that. So the world that we see that we're interacting with now, like combustion engine cars, right? Just really how we live and where we live in the environment. We're going to see that change. Still going to be wearing clothes. I get you that. I mean, we'll still see it. But the way we interact with technology, because the materials that we have can actually hold technology. And then lastly is software development. The software development, when we're talking about having your own virtual assistant, Siri, right? I mean, like these things that are going to be developed over time. Tomorrow, officially, Elon Musk will announce Neuralink, right? I mean, so this is the human interaction, the material sciences interacting with the brain. And then imagine a personal assistant. So we're going to see a world, I feel, that is going to be even more intertwined with technology. That being said, if you do not have placement, even at least 10% of your assets into technology as of today, you should probably migrate 30 to 40% of your net assets, investable net assets, into these environments. So software development firms, companies that hold big data, that gather data. Like I understand what people are saying about quote unquote Facebook and Google. Well, those places, people, that you can make investments from, that is not high risk. I mean, if you invest in Apple 20 years ago, 12 years ago, when the first iPhone is, you're doing okay. But I feel that the interaction of the software development and the material sciences is that it will demand much more and more attention. And then so that's going to be the exponential growth where you can just put, literally put $100 and buy Google stock and Apple stock and just don't think about it. You don't have to get into anything else. Now, crypto is going to obviously have a place. Is it going to replace this, to replace that? Well, governments are designed for war. I'm going to make sure that everyone understands that. And this is what people don't understand. That's what taxation is from. Taxation is money that is used, that we relocate to our government to protect ourselves from others, be it our neighbors from playing music too loud or burning down a fire or making too much noise, but it's also to protect us from other enemy countries, right? So that's where the military comes in. And if you think that governments are not preparing for crypto and blockchain and the space technology, they are designed to fight them off or adapt. So you will see this large allocation of resources over the next 10 to 15 years where Bitcoin will have a place, right? And for me, and I mean, honestly, Bitcoin is just a piece of artwork. There's only 21 million pieces, right? We know that roughly 3.5 million of them have been lost already, the keys. We know a million have not been.
Will keep on losing them.
Yeah. So, I mean, so for me, it's not about the use case of Bitcoin. It's just the grandfather. It is the first. So just hold on to maybe 10, 20,
Well,
just for
that
piece
would
of
be nice. Full disclosure. And I think that's important to understand. My apologies for interrupting you.
No.
often people think that if somebody is in the crypto space, they're promoting it because it's all about Bitcoin. And there are a lot of people, and so I used to be embarrassed about this, okay? That I come from a while ago when there was no Bitcoin. I mean, no blockchain yet. It was all Bitcoin and alts, and that's all. It was a Bitcoin industry. And we invested money in building infrastructure. We bootstrapped the things we built, and we were dedicated to that. And we didn't buy Bitcoin. We're not Bitcoiners. I always want more Bitcoin, but we're not Bitcoin wealthy at all, and it's something I arrived to in the beginning of this year. I wrote an article about it, to where I thought, you know what, there's no reason to be embarrassed about it, because it's kind of a stigma, and I think it misleads people that are not in the industry, that we're just all kind of like doing it because we are in and we got in early, and
Right.
and all that. And I think it's important for people to understand that some of us, got in and did that. Some of us invested money. And most importantly, a lot of people that have had Bitcoin, they had to liquidate it. Things
Oh
happen.
no, life happens.
And so we have all these wounds all over us, that are not necessarily mean that we are crypto wealthy,
No. Yeah.
where knowledge may be wealthy, or maybe everyone is different. But
For everyone who doesn't know, to talk about Arena, I want to talk about you, right? So you literally was one of the first people on this planet to be a woman and to head up a crypto exchange, right?
yes,
Literally, you were the person. And it's funny because when we were introduced, I had heard of your work, but I've never met you before that. And then when I got to meet you, then I figure out, oh, you and your family are so lovely. It's great. But no, I understand it. But for what we're saying is, looking at the future, is that I think people, for their financial security and to have options, this is all we're saying, is so if you want to go to Alaska with your family, or if you want to go to Tulum, you need finances. This is the way the world works. We feel that I think it's a fairly safe bet. And for everyone who doesn't know this, I've been in the finance game for over 25 years. I'm a licensed insurance. I'm a financial coach, and we don't use the word advisor, but I'm a financial strategist. And we think that every person should have at least some allocation in the technology space, be it through decentralized organizations such as Bitcoin and other products and services. We're just using Bitcoin, Ripple or whatever. But we think that people should have exposure assets. And one of the, people love to is real estate, and it really goes by location. But I can tell you this right now, that people, young generation, they are not to invest as firmly as the previous 2 and 3 and 4 generations into real estate. They are going to participate into financial technologies,
as they
and
should.
also they're going
I mean, the younger you are, the more, yeah. It's good. Look, if your portfolio is highly diversified and you already have risky investments, but yeah, real estate makes no sense if you're young. It just
yeah, and
doesn't.
that doesn't make sense. I mean, not even insurance, and that's my business. But yeah, we think that people, technology organizations, and Elon Musk, I've been very, very fortunate to participate in such and Tesla. We've done well, and the growth is there. Other organizations out there, Google, Apple, Facebook, these are true organizations. I'm going to say the reason why these are true organizations, the alternative or the replacement. So think about another search engine taking over Google that owns the number 2 search engine, which is YouTube. It would have to be something amazing, and then they have to go with an organization that has unlimited resources. So I'd rather $10 to Google. And I think with Microsoft, they know the game. And really, another one thing I want to say about this is it may not see great appreciation, but it's hold up a lot of value. Is we feel that the U.S. dollar will hold up very, very well over the next 3 or 4 years. We, it's, people talk about, I'm saying this because, what does it look like 10, 25 years from now? Is I think comparably to the other,
25. 10 is easier. 25
yeah,
now.
yeah. So 25 years, um, in 25 years, we believe comparably to other, the US dollar will be a flight to quality. Now, comparably to other asset classes, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just other currency. We just, these governments have to deal with a lot of issues. And America is not the situation, but the US dollar being the reserve currency, a lot of fires in the future. All you have to do is look at the challenges that Africa's going through, a lot of challenges which Europe's going through. So 5 years out, holding US assets, T-bills, US assets denoted in US dollar be a safe. So
that sounds great. You're cutting out a little bit, so
I'm sorry, here,
I hope it
let's
catches.
adjust a little bit.
I hope that but I can hear what you're saying. So that's awesome. And I'm hoping that maybe the recording will patch it up.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Fingers crossed.
So what I hear you say is that in 25 years, you see humans being more integrated and benefiting from technology while building more sustainable life on our planet and outside.
Right.
Does that sound
And
right? Okay.
so that's exactly right. And Irina, I want to say this, and I want to share this with your listeners. And thank you so much for having on, Irina. Is that we will start to see a migration of resources on the commercial level instead of the governmental level. So you're going to see, when I mean by that, it's like, hey, government should fix this and they should fix that. You're going to see that corporations and individual communities will start acting on their own. Yeah. So a good example is like, building a community-minded technology in, say, a place like Idaho. Like you're already starting to see projects. You're going to start projects taking hold in the northern hemispheres. So we're talking about Canada, Russia, China, the Slavic states, and obviously in all the North states, Sweden, Norway. You're going to start seeing that parts of Central America and South America, where you're going to see community people starting to work together. Like you live in a kind of a little enclave. You all have kind of similar views. In literally the of technology in the Southwest is Austin. You guys are in Sun Valley, right?
Yeah.
So you're starting to see that, hey, listen, and a real simple example is that instead of complaining to the government fixing a pothole, you're going to start see either individual companies or individuals take it upon to try to improve their local environment.
Myself.
Yes.
Right.
So we feel that there's great opportunities, not just technology driven, but in community driven projects, that people are going to take more of an active stance of how they want to live their lives and how they want to bring up their children. There is this leaving out of San Francisco. There's an exodus leaving out. Those fine, right? We're talking top 10 cities in the world, but you're seeing an exodus out of London. You're seeing an exodus out of Paris, seeing an exodus out of Moscow because of broadband, more work away from work. And things like Starlink, cheap, accessible, broadband, 5G, 6G, already they're already developing and they already released numbers on 6G, that you're going to start seeing these communities out there. And I think you're going to see a lot of opportunities to develop these communities, not just for the financial well-being, but also for the emotional, spiritual, and mental. And that's one of the reasons why Tulum, to bring it back to Tulum and to have lovely conversations with people, is that it is a sharing of old world beliefs and also leveraging new technologies. And this is the reason why we're very high up on places like Bali and we're very in places like that, Chiang Mai, Thailand, and also in Tulum, because it's attracted a lot of great talent, and it's very, very cost effective to do business there.
And it's connected. So before I ask you my last question, I want to clarify to viewers why now what IJ described is possible. Why seeing community taking care of itself and not just relying on government is going to be possible. And it comes down simply to one saying: in code we trust. Because now, because of blockchain technology, you can be certain that when you put money into a certain cause, it will be deployed to that cause. And so if there is a project to patch up your holes in the road in your community, members of that community can deposit what it takes, and then it can be deployed. And you see the elimination to need to trust, the elimination of this thing that we constantly keep in our mind. Is this a scam? Is somebody going to take us away? The elimination of having to rely on centralized authority to make sure that we are taken care of allows us to be able to acquire that freedom. And so that is why this dream have been a dream for our humanity for a long time. And it is because of innovation and technology, we now can do it, and we have the tools to do it. So know that things are different now. Now, my last question: what would be an advice that you could share with viewers, with me, that would be an anchor or a little key or tool that would help us in the time of when we feel lonely or disconnected, or when we're living through situations of change, which is now and also will be in the future, right? Life changes all the time. And so through the times of challenges, how do you find light?
No, that's a phenomenal question, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to talk about this. Um, so I'm just going to describe what I have found useful for myself, and other people like me have found it. So there's a basically we all are on the same path, right? So, but there's all these different ways to get there. So we all have the similar destination. Let's just say 120 years old, but there's all these different ways. You could have grown up in India. You could have grown up in Australia. You could have been in Russia. Yeah, I could have been in a small town in Connecticut. But we're seeing, because of so much stresses out there, right? I mean, if you would have, when we were talking in this time last year, we were talking about being in Asia, right? No one could have foreseen this, right? The way these things are. And no one could have foreseen some of these other things, these binary products. There is a lot of things that are not going well for a lot of people out there. And added to that is this disconnection between the human souls and other human souls. And we are designed to protect our genetic code by working together to live in the community. That means to have a significant other, to rear children, and to learn from our elders. But what we're seeing is, since this isolation is happening because of COVID, and we don't have access to some of the social cues that we usually have, like going to a concert, right? Going to a conference, just going to the local bar, or going to see our kids play baseball, right? I get to interact with the other dads, the kids get to hang out. I mean, like, even barbecues are frowned upon them more than just really 15 people, because we know those actions could put others at risk, and these people that are at risk could have a propensity to get sicker faster, right? So these are people at high risk, people with multiple underlying diseases such as like diabetes, severely morbidly obese, all these things, older age. That being said, know that if you are feeling challenged in your life, there is a possibility that others in your life are facing these difficulties as well. So if I may feel a little down and a little lonely, maybe my cousin does too. Maybe my best friend in college does also. So I find if a malaise comes over me or a melancholy comes over me, it may be that someone that I care about, someone that I enjoy spending time with or communicating with, they may be going through that same thing too. So I immediately pick up the phone and I start texting my friends and family. I immediately go out on book arena. I like your photos, right? You know, you're talking about ostrich eggs. I can't wait for Easter. I will be in Austin in Easter next year, guaranteed. So that's one thing, is just to tell other people. And this could just be tagging them in Facebook and Instagram. And that just says to that other person that you thought of them just for even a moment, that you could bring levity, because what we do in our lives, even though we think that no one's observing it, we live in a very observable life. So one thing that I find that helps me is to reach out in others and not think of myself, but maybe think about how may I serve my fellow friend, person, relative, or business associate. So I am super active during these times, reaching out to people. And I find that when they say, oh, hey, listen, I was just thinking about you, it warms my heart. So that's one piece of advice to give to others. If you're having a challenging time, maybe reach out to others, and maybe you will give some solace and some peace and some enjoyment just by interacting with your friends and family.
So I really appreciate that approach. As you're having, what I hear you say is that as you're having a hard time, think and give your attention to check on others. And if reality is a reflection, which is, the thesis is for that, and then most likely reality will, by you giving that attention, will deliver that healing energy to you. I really appreciate that. I really like that. Take it away from you. Get out of yourself, get out of your own head, and go and be. Because you're right. Our life is so amazing because we do interact, and it's so dynamic because of that. And it does seem, yeah, thank you so much for this. I will definitely take this and put it into my toolbox, and use it. And I do want to say that often people think that feeling bad, feeling down, having this what is described negative emotions is a bad thing, and it's not. It's how you deal with that. Is if you allow yourself to feel melancholic, allow yourself to feel tired, and during that time, like you said, reach out to a family member, to a friend, to a colleague. Just go and give your attention and say, how are you doing? Tell me what you're up to. I want to know what you're doing. I do not want to think about my thing anymore.
Yeah, and if they ask you how you doing, just lie. You say, no, I'm fine.
Right. And I found it too, that positive attitude, if you can communicate in positive messaging to others, then you make their day. And then as you make their day and they smile, and it becomes infectious, and then even though things seemed like they were collapsing, if you do that a couple times, all of a sudden you're grinning and you don't know why. And it's probably because you gave attention to the person that you loved, and you shared that energy, and through giving you received. And so give and you will receive. I really believe in that. And IJ, thank you so much for taking your time, for connecting. There are more things we will discuss later. I'm hoping that we will discuss them in person. As I know, you said you might be moving to Austin, which I like.
Yeah. So, this is really happening. It's something you knew that I did enjoy spending my time in Austin. I've been back and forth, for several years now. But it seems like the timing's there, and the development, even things that we didn't plan, things coming into alignment, it makes a lot of sense. And for us, since we're going to be spending more and more time in Central and South America, your trip? I mean, right out of Austin International. I mean, whatever, Austin International. It's a super fast trip. So
It is. And by the way, the network that's being built here and blockchain is already established. And the space industry is really, kind of getting nucleated here even stronger. My goal and the goal of people that I work with in the space industry is to make this financial capital for space industry. So we want everybody in the world to come to Austin, Texas, to do business for space. Space is an asset.
Absolutely. So we'll be there, and we'll be one of the first ones to buy more cookies from your lovely daughter.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irina. Cheers.